Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. This is part 2 of Crush Phone Fear Forever and Watch Your Deals Skyrocket. Start out by saying thank you for all the great feedback. I think you guys are noticing this is one of Julie and I's favorite topics. And because, the bottom line is this is one of those skill sets that once you have it, once you've moved past your mindset issues with regard to doing the real work of real estate and you actually start becoming a proactive lead generator, everything you've always wanted in life is quite literally on the other side of that. You have control of your time. You have control of your finances. You have control of your future. And that's what all of you guys strive to have in the first place. And if you haven't really, been in alignment for a long time with why you originally got into real estate, this is the perfect time to do that. Get back into alignment with what it is you're truly trying to accomplish in your business and personal life. Having had that conversation with thousands and thousands of agents over the years, I can tell you when you really pull back the layers, what everybody wants more than anything is they want a sense of freedom, and not just, freedom with the small case letter F, right? They want to be financially free. They want to get to the point in their lives where they can do what they want to do, when they want to do it, with whomever they choose to do it with. That's what people want ultimately. They don't want to have the conversation of, do I have enough money, or what happens if? They don't want to ever have to worry about money. And many of you haven't really maybe actualized that or kind of accepted that can be your future. The only way it happens ultimately is from essentially creating a business or businesses that creates enough net profit. And with that net profit, you then reinvest that net profit into other things that create passive income. That's really the way that way it always has worked for anyone who's accumulated any amount of money. The #1 way that people become millionaires, first generation millionaires in the United States, is from real estate. But what is that next thing they do? They start doing investing. So you make your money in real estate, but then you have to take the profits from real estate and you have to invest it. So yes, great, good job. You earn $1 million gross revenue in real estate, but your net profit was only $150,000 after taxes and paying your personal overhead. You had no profit. Is that really what your point was of getting into real estate in the first place? So always stay in alignment with what your North Star most likely is, which is getting it to the point in your life where you can be financially free, where you can wake up in the morning and you can have that calm confidence that only comes from not having to actually worry about money.
Exactly. Now, you said a lot of things there, and it made me think of the fact that this is called a real estate practice. It's a practice because practicing makes you better. And that's why we're doing this 2-part podcast series about overcoming your phone fear. It's one of the most important things that you can do to unlock that possibility of financial freedom that Tim was just talking about. So if you missed part 1, you can get caught up yesterday. Tim, then how can they get the notes?
Oh, that's right. So go to harrisrealestatedaily.com, and that is where all the notes from the podcast, and we do have a lot of notes for today's show and yesterday's show. All of our shows, Julie always creates these really kick-ass outlines for all of us. She does it for all of us, not just for she and I, because she knows that you guys are going to be a lot of times using these notes for your own education, but maybe you're going to use them for your training other agents in your office, your team, or social media posts, all these things. The notes are only available if you're a subscriber to our daily newsletter, which is harrisrealestatedaily.com. And it's it's free, and it takes 2 seconds to enter your email address into just go to harrisrealestatedaily.com, and you'll see there's a little, window where you drop in your email address, but then you have to pop over to your actual email and you have to confirm you want the subscription. And thereafter you get the newsletter with that day's podcast and a lot of other unique content. You get it every day for free. harrisrealestatedaily.com. It's a art project we started about a year ago. It's turned out to be an incredible success. About 30,000 subscribers in that list now. Something like 70% of you open the emails when you receive them. So, here's the bottom line. If you're not a subscriber, you know what to do. harrisrealestatedaily.com.
All right. So again, we're talking about losing that phone fear. We're talking about proactive lead generation. Today, we're talking efficiency and effectiveness, how to work smarter, as well as the second section for today, organization and growth, keep track to keep winning. All right, first of all, #1, understand your ratios. Track your conversion rates. Remember, it's called a real estate practice. You are practicing and getting better. Track your conversion rates and aim for 1 qualified appointment per 10 contacts. If you need help, a great coach is going to pinpoint those areas to improve. Is it, for example, who you're calling, Maybe you're doing that circle prospecting that we talked about yesterday, where only 11 out of 1,000 people are going to move. Or maybe it's something else. Is it what you're saying, how you're saying it? Is it how you're closing or maybe not closing? I've listened to, and I know you have too, great calls where they did a good job on the script, but they just didn't ask for the business or the appointment.
So, Mr. Seller, what time tomorrow at 4 o'clock or today at 5 o'clock would be better for you? Really? That's the whole close question. After you pre-qualified them, after you've asked them all the questions and you know what their motivation is. Our system that we teach you guys in Premier Coaching, all it is a series of conversations. Some of, they're called scripts, but it's just a series of conversations that leads to you setting a pre-qualified listing appointment where you know what the seller's motivation is, you know what their time frame is, you know what they think the house is worth, you know if you're competing with any other agents, and then you send the pre-listing pack. And the pre-listing pack does all your selling for you. That's in essence what our system is. And then you show up, and when you do show up, it's your game to lose at that point, because we've done all the heavy lifting for you. So you need to be a subscriber to Premier Coaching. Just go to premiercoaching.com or just text the word Premier to 47372.
All right, so understanding your ratios. Is it who you're calling, how you're calling them, how frequently you're calling them? Maybe your ratios are terrible because you only call like once every 3 weeks, so you're not really connecting to enough people to even make an assessment. Maybe you're just not really resonating on the phone with them. I've heard coaching calls where you're just not really having a conversation for whatever reason. So that's something to work on. It's something to practice.
You and I aren't in complete agreement with all the numbers tracking stuff because, frankly, I find the numbers tracking place is a great place to get lost.
Well, you don't want to go crazy on it. That's
right.
True.
People overanalyze it.
True.
And so for my advanced coaching clients, or even the ones that want to become advanced coaching clients or who want to become top agents, here's the rule. You have to stay on the phone until you set one pre-qualified appointment a day.
Yes.
And here's what happens. If they are a numbers tracker, and if you guys have been struggling with contacts and you're a numbers tracker, I have to make my 30 contacts a day. Well, who cares?
No, I do totally agree with you on that. That's called contactitis, where you're focused on the wrong thing. I don't care how many people you talk to if you didn't set an appointment. You could talk to 1,000 people. It doesn't matter. You don't get extra gold stars for making maximum contacts. The more skilled agent has fewer contacts and is focused on the appointment.
And I'll tell you where I originally learned that, when Julie and I prospected. Because guess what? We hated prospecting too. We did. And so the deal we'd make is, I'll tell you exactly what we did. This is back before, you know what I'm about to say? Mm-hmm. This is back before we had children. Or child in our case, right? We had 4 cats. Yes, cats. We had 4 of them. And you know what cats like to do? They like to eat, and then they like to, in a cat box.
We actually knew how to herd cats.
Yes, we had a herd of cats. And so the deal was, we basically, every single day, whoever set the first pre-qualified listing appointment got a point. And at the end of the week, whoever who didn't set 5 pre-qualified listing appointments had to do the cat boxes. That's
motivational.
That was motivational. Because you didn't want that shitty job.
No, you did not want that shitty.
So it really kind of put prospecting in a different context.
Totally. Well, when you make it more fun, to win, not to do the cat box, then you're kind of gamifying it. You're running some psyops on yourself.
It wasn't one cat box. It was like 6.
Exactly.
It was horrible.
But the point is, miraculously, you become more efficient. You actually talk to more people. You use your scripts at a higher level. You start closing, even if you're uncomfortable closing, because you want to do the damn cat box.
Well, but when I've had coaching clients who haven't had cats, so I couldn't lord that over them, the deal is you can stop prospecting after you set one pre-qualified listing appointment.
Yes, and what happens when you give them that?
Yeah, they'll set one pre-qualified listing appointment within like the first 5 contacts.
Exactly.
So they don't have to prospect anymore. And I'm happy with that. As their coach, I'd say, listen, if it's a pre-qualified listing appointment and you have certainly pre-qualified them, all the questions.
It's a real appointment, in other words.
Yeah, they're not just some sort of fluff thing with a buyer who maybe will not. I'm talking a listing appointment. You set 1 per day, you're done. And they would do it. Now, the problem is if they said, well, I only want to set 2 a week. Well, that means you're probably not going to do any of it ever because you're going to procrastinate until Friday, and then you're going to come up with excuses not to do it. So if you set the rule of setting 1 pre-qualified listing appointment a day, and we'll show you how to do it in Premier Coaching, that's how you're going to create freedom in your life.
That's right. I do agree with you about don't get hung up. I mean, track your ratios and know what they are. But, maybe you do really well with one category and not so much with another, and you need to know where to improve.
Yeah, some people become specialists at, for example, FSBOs or expireds.
Yeah, and the ratios are really low on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had coaching clients that were spectacular at that, but they just were terrible at talking to their past clients, and the opposite. So that's okay.
And I'll tell you, this will also surprise you guys. Remember, we've been doing this for a long damn time. Is if you won't, like, for example, to Julie's point, They were really good at, say, for example, for sale by owners, but they never wanted to call their centers of influence and past clients, but they were able to meet or exceed their goals with just doing the FSBOs. I'd say fine.
I agree.
Let's just make you better at that. I'm never gonna ask you to call your centers of influence and past clients. We'll mail them postcards or some other little dippity-do idea, but you don't have to call them as long as you hit all your numbers with regards to FSBOs and they were happy. And then we would make them absolute Navy SEAL snipers with FSBOs. You guys get it? Don't try to become good at everything. Choose wisely what you're going to be good at. Life is too short, for you to make the wrong decision. Mm-hmm. So choose wisely. And if you're going to want to make money and earn financial freedom in real estate, the best way to do it is definitely going to be over the phone prospecting. I mean, not earn money. I shouldn't have said that, but earn enough net profit that you can then reinvest that money so it makes money for you.
That's right. Okay, number 2, knowledge equals confidence, ignorance equals fear. And that's why point number 2, stay market savvy. Know how to talk about real estate. Know the pulse of your market, interest rates, inventory, new construction. Being informed builds trust and positions you as the go-to expert. Do you know how to achieve lower interest rates, for example? How does an assumable mortgage work? We give you talking points because we know that you get stuck, and we know that you don't have conversations sometimes because you're worried they're going to ask you something you know nothing about.
They're always going to ask the question, how's the real estate market? Or they're going to say, I've read or I've heard.
Or I'm waiting for rates to come down.
Right. And you got to not say the stupid things that most agents say. Like if they just read a bunch of headlines that the real estate skies are falling and you then say the real estate market's great. The real estate market in your view might be great, but if they just heard everywhere the real estate market's terrible and you say something opposite, how do you think they think of you? So you have to be in alignment with their expectation. Well, Mr. Seller, that's a great question. Or Mr. Potential Seller, that's a great question. What do you perceive is happening in the real estate market? And then they'll tell you. And whatever they say, you don't have to either agree or argue with them, but then you essentially are going to be remembered as someone who listened to them spout off about what their opinion was.
Yes.
Don't ever get in conflict with any client. Don't try to dominate a seller or a buyer with your opinion. That's not how you win in life, and certainly not how you win when you're selling real estate.
Well, one thing that I remember you taught me was I call them kind of pre-scripted sentence scripts, where if you get into it and you're potentially in conflict, you talk to a seller and they say whatever, you say, well, that might be the best thing for you, but you're agreeing. You're not in conflict. You're on the same side of the table as they are.
Julie, we're going to take the house off the market for the holidays. Mr. Seller, listen, I appreciate the fact you don't want to have your house on the market for the holidays. That might be the best thing for you. Now, why is that so powerful? Because I just de-escalated, and let's say, for example, that seller was interviewing different agents and say it was an expired listing, just expired. Sellers telling the world they want to take it off the market until the spring. All the other agents are immediately going into conflict mode. Oh, that's this, that's the other thing.
Argue to the death over it.
And you don't do that. You agree with them. You know what? I get it. I understand why you wouldn't want the hassle of showing your house during the holidays. That might be the best thing for you. But let me ask you a real quick question. And then you go into the script, which is if there was a real financial advantage to you having your house for sale now, would you reconsider that decision or still stick to your guns with regards to holding off the market to the spring? I'm going to tell you what the answer is. 9 times out of 10, they're still going to hold off the market to the spring, to which you then say, okay, well, great. I appreciate that. So I will keep in contact with you over the next few months. And then, by the way, what is spring for you? Ask them what that means to them. Well, spring for them is February, but spring you were thinking was, April. Now you know that they're actually going to we want to have the house back so you want to have the house for sale in February. That's great. So it sounds to me like we probably want to put it back for sale maybe in January. Does that sound about right? Yep. Okay, good. Now you have a time frame. Now, if you tell them you're going to call them back in 2 weeks, you call them back in 1 week. If you tell them you're going to call them back in 5 days, call them back in 2 days. You guys get it? You have to stay, but when you call them, bring something of value to every single contact you make with them. Could be what's going on in the market. Could be new listings. Could be the effects of interest rates. Could be the appreciation on the home. We teach you how to say all these things in Premier Coaching. But whatever you do not put them in a damn drip campaign. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't put them in a drip campaign thinking they're going to call you in the spring. That's dumb. It's lazy. You have to pick up the phone and have conversations with them. Let all the other rookies out there and let all the other seasoned agents with these big CRMs make the mistake of dripping on people. Because what's happening is that same seller is being dripped on, that sounds disgusting, by the way, by like 10 different agents. They're getting agent propaganda constantly, but nobody's calling them but you. Who do you think is going to be top of mind when they actually go to make a decision who they're going to list the house with?
Real conversations, guys. That's what these podcasts are about. Number 3, when you're talking to your past clients, your center of influence, and you're out in the wild in real estate, maybe at an open house, you can use the Ford formula, FORD, tells you what to talk about.
You absolutely are the master of this. I mean, you
I know
didn't.
I do it without thinking about it.
Well, Julie used to be the biggest introverted dork you've ever met.
Until I learned this, and I do use this all the
You
time.
did though. You were super introverted. You did not know how to conversation. You were uncomfortable with anyone outside of your immediate peer group. And over the years, you completely blossomed to the point now where you will go into an environment of complete strangers and you can strike up conversations instantaneously, and people will come up to you because. So here's the recipe: it's family, occupation, recreation, dreams. And what you're doing is you're talking to folks and you're asking them questions. And again, we give all this to you in Premier Coaching. You're going to start out by asking questions about their family. You're not interrogating them. You're having a conversation. Okay. Then if the family conversation runs a little dry, which by the way, it never does, then you can move to occupation. So what brought you to, Puerto Rico? Why are you guys live? What's your business line? What do you do? That kind of thing. And then they're going to tell you. And then if the occupation conversation starts to peak, again, you won't get past family, but if it does, then you can talk about recreation. Oh, you play pickleball too? That's fantastic. You guys get it? But what you're doing is not talking about yourself.
No.
You want to ask them questions. And so here's what I've noticed with Julie in particular. So she does this. She never talks about herself. And if she does, she'll answer the question nicely and respectfully, but she'll bounce back and ask them the question immediately. She's trained herself, as have I, to basically repel against the anything that's, talking about yourself, because it's an egotistical thing. And they don't, honestly, guys, most people don't want to hear about you. They don't care. They want you to ask about them. Everyone's favorite topic is themselves.
Yes.
So get them asking questions about themselves. So Julie and I will go to a lot of social events over the holidays. Too many for my taste, I guarantee it. And what I'll see was what I always see is people will come from across the room and they'll come up to either Julie or I and they'll start having conversations with us because the last time we were around them, we asked them questions about themselves and made them feel important. So now because they remembered how we made them feel the last time we were around them, they want to be around us again because they felt good the first time. They don't even remember why, but they did because they got to spout off about themselves, their own favorite topic. You guys get it? That is the secret to Ford. That is one of the secrets. If you want to have je ne sais quoi, some secret superpower in life, I just gave it to you. Ask questions about other people. Get them talking about themselves. And don't talk about yourself. That's the key thing. No I, me, or we. No, I had an experience just like that. Or nothing. No, don't do that. Just ask some questions and show sincere interest. Many of you are terrible at this because you're so used to talking about yourselves. This is a learned skill. But on the other side of it is amazing power, because you literally become a massive attractor everywhere you go, because people know when they see Julie, they're going to go up to Julie and she's going to ask them about questions about their favorite topic, which is themselves.
Yeah, remember, people will forget exactly what you said, but they won't forget how you make them feel, right? It's so funny. You were talking about that. You're right. That it becomes like a superpower. Last week, I went to a meeting about Zoe's etiquette class, to somebody's house. It was a lady that I had never met before in a different part of the neighborhood. I had no connection to her other than the class, and none of my center of influence was there.
And just for the record, if there's somebody that needs an etiquette class, it's our daughter.
Exactly, right? And you made me think about this because I thought, normally, past Julie would have been like, okay, this is weird. I'm in somebody else's house. I've never been
let's
here.
give it some color without dropping names, okay?
Yeah, sure.
So this was in Ricky Martin's neighborhood.
Yes.
Down the street from Ricky Martin's house. Julie didn't know this lady at all.
At all.
You never even met her, right?
No.
Okay, and the house,
She was hosting the etiquette class because the normal one was being rehabbed or something.
Okay, so there you go. I set it up for a little bit more flavor.
Okay, so all I had was her name and her pin to her house, okay, because she's kind of back in the neighborhood. So I just thought, okay, well, this is a little odd. Also, I'm dropping off our daughter to some house to some lady that's, at least it's an etiquette class, so there should be, that's all I had to go on. So what did I do? I asked her.
It was somewhat creepy, but proper manners.
Exactly. So I used the Ford script, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. By the time I had had a 20-minute conversation, I knew that her family was from California. I knew her occupation had to do with tech and crypto. Her recreation was this amazing, incredible koi pond that we talked for 10 minutes about.
You took pictures and sent them to me.
It was great, and we had a lot of great rapport.
And you learned that there was a couple neighborhood python snakes.
Boas, close enough.
Boas that were basically having occasional feasts of her koi.
Yeah, good to know.
And did you even talk about yourself once? Do you remember?
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all. But that's fine because I already know about me. I don't want to talk about me. I'm not interesting to me, right? So anyway, it does become second nature. And I go back to reminding you about how many real estate transactions. I mean, let's start with friendships. You have a more interesting life when you know more people that are in different places. Okay. But it also leads to these transactions that most real estate transactions happen because they already know you. What is it? 87% of the time somebody chooses somebody they already know who's already in their center of influence.
Someone they've used before is like where most people make their decisions as who they're going to use. And then it's the second biggest category if someone that's a referral from a trusted friend or advisor.
Right. So have a lot of trusted friends and advisors.
Guys, to give you numbers to that, 93% of all people make their decisions who they're going to list their house with based on who they've used in the past or a referral from a trusted friend or advisor, not from marketing and branding. Not from TikTok. No. They make decisions. I'm going to say it again, and we should dust off those statistics, right?
Yep.
But they make a decision based on someone they've used before in the past. This is how they hire a listing agent or even use a buyer's agent.
Who do I already know?
And if they don't know anybody, then they're going to ask a trusted friend or advisor. Obviously, Julie may have been looking for a roofer and she could have asked that, or the gal may have been looking for a roofer. And now that Julie's a trusted friend, she's going to ask Julie for referrals. That's the way most people decide who they're going to list their homes with. Hey, by the way, did y'all just have a big old epiphany when I said that? Because I was shining light on the fallacy that is a lot of marketing and branding and lead buying. Do you guys get the point here? But you're going to have to be willing to have meaningful conversations, which is the theme of today's show and yesterday's show. Now, some of you I know are thinking, well, how the hell do I intertwine? If I'm not supposed to talk to myself, how am I going to bring up the fact that I'm in real estate? Because it's just going to naturally come up.
It's O for occupation.
Right. They're going to, but you don't want to spend the whole damn time giving them a dissertation on real estate. Just mention that you're in real estate and go back to getting to know them by asking them questions. And then what you have done is you've carved out a little special place in their hearts that you are somebody who's caring and obviously competent and made them feel good. Don't you think if you keep up that consistency, you're going to have them become a great referral source for you? And there's nothing wrong with ending conversations with, oh, by the way, who do you know is thinking about buying or selling real estate in this market that I should be helping?
There
Julie doesn't sell real estate, but if she did, I guarantee you she would have asked that question. And statistically, that lady, because how these types of networks work in communities, would have probably had at least 2 or 3 possible referrals for Julie just by asking the question.
It's going to happen.
Of course.
And I'm, I never get in somebody's face and say, when do you plan on moving? That's not the script, okay? It comes out in organic conversation 9 times out of 10 using the Ford script.
And that was a nice, normal, sweet lady. And that house was probably, 12, 15 million?
Probably.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, and if you were living in a market like that, thinking of these upper end, people are too, they're going to blah, blah, blah. You're going to have to go about them a different way. You have to do a bunch of marketing and branding and have all these luxury logos and brands. No, you just have to have conversations with them.
Yes.
And be yourself.
Right. That's right. Exactly right. Okay. Now on to point number 4. Talking about proactive lead generation, losing your phone fear. Plan your day with purpose. Remember, you're running a real estate practice. Think about what you're doing. Spend at least 90% of your open time that you're not on appointments, on proactive lead generation. Figure out your prime calling hours and stick with them. Consistency is key. Prime calling hours are almost always in the morning.
For sure.
Because you feel better. You have more energy. I just had a conversation with a coaching client about that last week.
I'm going to go back to a previous point.
Okay.
Because we talk about this, calling in the morning thing, and everyone's got their excuses not to do it. And I'm going to give them a little bit of a leniency on this point. Okay, I'm your coach. I don't give a rat's ass when you prospect as long as you set 1 pre-qualified listing appointment a day.
Agreed.
That's it.
Agreed. And there is no magic hour of power.
Right.
There's no golden hour where if you blow it that you can't set an appointment.
But biologically, because of all your hormones and your energy and all the rest of it, you're going to be more alert, more awake, more creative, more everything in the morning. And you're going to be worn out, especially if you have children and all the rest of the things that happen in life at the end of the day. Because you're going to run yourself down. So don't, Julie and I have a rule. We don't talk about business after 6 o'clock, and we don't make any decisions or send really any emails after 6 o'clock either. We shut ourselves down. Now, we give ourselves overnight, especially if it's something that might be a little bit controversial. We'll shut it down and we'll redress it in the morning. But the bottom line is yes, you're better off making calls in the morning. But if you got some life that's all locked in the morning, it does not matter as long as you set 1 pre-qualified listing appointment per day. And we'll teach you how to do that in Premier Coaching.
Absolutely. All right. On to section 2 of today's podcast, organization and growth. Keep track to keep winning. Number 1, track your progress. You can use tools. You can use wipe-off boards, manage your leads, stay disciplined with your follow-up. That's the second part of being proactive. Don't drop the ball once you have created the lead. Coaching can also give you benchmarks, helping you see if you're on track for quarterly and yearly goals. track things without going crazy. All of my private coaching clients send me either a picture of their whiteboards or their spreadsheet of tracking their active leads. They have one color for buyers, one color for sellers. What's their motivation, their time frame, their price range, and their next step.
And for private clients, for Julie and I's elite level clients too, not only do we help track their business, but we're also tracking their personal finances. We use Monarch, by the way. I think it's Monarch Financial.
MonarchMoney.com.
Yeah, Monarch. Actually, it's right here. The tab's right here. Let's see if that's the URL. Yep, you're right. MonarchMoney.com. So we'll help them track all their finances because frankly, we want them out there listing real estate. So we're going to pay attention to all their numbers for them, making sure they're doing investing and, nothing's happening that's going to adversely affect their financial futures. We're going to help them figure out insurances and trust structures. And then we also help them with physicality. So we're, going to get them to have their blood taken. We're going to have a doctor. We're going to help them find a doctor that's going to give them some suggestions based on the results from their blood tests, supplements and vitamins and weight control and the rest of it. And then we're also going to insist that if they're not up on all their health stuff, we're going to start out with sending them to like Pervenu, right?
Yes, I think that's right.
And that's a full body CT scan?
Yes.
Is it CT?
I think it's MRI too.
I think it's MRI. The one that's magnetic, not the one that
MRI.
Yeah, MRI. And then so we're going to get all of our private coaching clients. They go on essentially a diet, if you will, of getting their health in order, getting their finances in order, getting their business in order, and then magically their relationships and all other aspects of their lives improve too.
Total control of your life.
When you have control of your finances and you have control of your health and you have control of your business, what's going to happen is you're going to become a different person. And it actually happens pretty quick. If you have one of those things out of whack, what you'll discover is if you could be in the best physical shape and have great relationships, but if you're broke and living under a bridge, well, that sucks. You guys get the point? So it has to be a combination of all these things. But people are not, frankly, you guys are too busy with life. That's the reason a lot of people are hiring Julie and I to be their personal coaches. And hey, guess what? We're expensive and we're picky. And if you're interested in being one of our elite coaching clients, you can text me directly at 512-758-0206. And I want to say, if only text me if you're actually truly interested in being rich, where your money works for you and you no longer want to work for your money, where you want to think big. It's not just about the latest marketing gimmick or some trick with your CRM. I want big thinkers in my schedule because, frankly, those people are the most challenging and the most fun to work with. And it's also incredible to be part of their lives as they accomplish those big goals. So if that's of interest to you, if you're ready for the ultimate step in your real estate business, you could text me directly at 512-758-0206. And just in the subject line, just say private coaching and then tell me a little bit about yourself. And then I'll follow up and we can have a conversation. All right, Julie.
All right. Talking about organization, keep on growing, keep track to keep winning. Now we're really having fun. We've done all of the other things we talked about. Number 2, show up like a pro to your appointments. A polished appearance shows confidence. Tim was just talking about polishing your look, polishing your health, polishing all of your things. Invest in a few go-to work outfits. Upgrade your tech. Ensure your presentation is always top notch. I always say you're working on this as a practice. It's your real estate practice. Practice makes you better. Have fun with this. Show up like a pro. All right, number 3, celebrate every win. Small victories keep your momentum high. Celebrate consistency, ramp up your lead generation over time, and watch your results getting consistent as well. Just concentrate. If this is something that you struggle with, this phone reluctance and proactive lead generation, but you've got to overcome it, start with just tomorrow. Do what you're supposed to do tomorrow, then add a day. Then make it this week. If you killed it this week, next week's going to be so much easier. Number 4 is furiously fast lead follow-up. Fast follow-up means faster conversions. Use the follow-up scripts that you get in Premier Coaching to pre-qualify and ensure that each call moves you closer to those appointments. And of course, as we just mentioned, last but not least, consider coaching for faster growth and accountability. A great coach is going to help you crush call reluctance and develop skills that set you apart. Maybe you're not ready for Tim or my private coaching. Maybe you're a Premier Coaching client or you're working with some of our other great Harris certified coaches. That's fine too. PremierCoaching.com.
That's right. So guys, thank you for keeping this number 1 listened to daily podcast for real estate professionals in at least the United States. It is our pleasure and our honor to be part of your lives, and thank you for being part of ours. If there's ever anything we can do for you, the easiest way to message me always is going to be just to text me, 512-758-0206. Have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.